Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're really doing well. Today is going to be a fun video. I really wanted to sit down and pick some new books for me to read, and I thought I would theme them according to the spring season because we're going to spring now. It's getting warmer. Like today it's like 27 degrees and I'm so happy about it. But yeah, I thought I'd pick my spring TBR. I'm not really the type of person who would sit down and film like monthly TBRs, mainly because I don't have enough time to be picking 10 books and then trying to read those 10 books in a month. So generally what I do is like from time to time, once I'm kind of dwindling down in my books, I'll like sit down and find some new reads. So that's kind of what I've done. I've just found a bunch of new books that I can read in like these next few months of spring. But I wanted it to be a little bit more fun and interesting. I thought it'd be fun to pick my spring reads based on spring aesthetics, and a lot of these aesthetics are, I would say, more to do with fashion, like that's how they've come about, fashion slash makeup world, but I thought I'd use them in this way as inspiration to pick my spring reads. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'm just gonna get straight into the first aesthetic. Okay, so for my first aesthetic, the one that came to mind instantly was cottagecore, and I feel like cottagecore aesthetic to me is sort of like a whole lifestyle. It's about just like living out in the forest, in the woods, just like slow living, spending time in nature, just taking in the smaller things in life, baking, yeah, just being more present. And I think being more like closer to nature and enjoying the simple things in life. And for this aesthetic, I thought the perfect book that I've had on my shelf for so long, I don't even know when I got this book, was Anne of Green Gables. And I literally have a copy. It's just been sitting on my shelf. I mean, even the cover is just so spring coated. But I thought this would be the perfect cottagecore aesthetic spring pick. From my knowledge, because I have watched the Anne of Green Gables Netflix show, and also it's such a classic that I've always vaguely known what it's about, but I've never read it. So if you don't know, Anne of Green Gables is about an orphan called Anne who is adopted by these two siblings, like older siblings, and they actually wanted to adopt a son to help them on the farm that they live on, but instead they get Anne, who's like this really fiery, like free-spirited, like really imaginative girl. But instead of giving her back, they kind of fall in love with her personality and they decide to keep her. And yeah, there's loads of books in this series, I'm pretty sure. It's just covering all of her adventures. But essentially she lives on this really old-fashioned farm, and I feel like all of her experiences are kind of tied very closely to living on this farm and helping out on the farm and forming her friendships and everything. So I've heard a lot about Anne. I've watched the show, so I have like a vague idea, but I've never sat down and read the book. So I thought this would be the perfect chance to actually know the ins and outs and experience the actual plot for the first time. But even her little outfit, the hat, and just the greenery screams cottagecore to me. So that's my first pick. I don't know if I mean, look how big the text is. Maybe I could like actually finish this whole thing. But yeah, I love the show. If you have not watched the show, definitely watch it. It's brilliant. I don't think they even managed to finish it actually. I think it got cut before then, which is so sad. But yeah, I loved the show and I feel like I'm gonna love the book, so that's number one pick. Okay, so for my second spring aesthetic, I had to pick light academia. After reading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies trilogy, I was introduced to this whole world that I didn't even know existed before, and I have been on the hunt ever since to find more books like it. So if you don't know, the difference kind of between light and dark academia is light academia, I would say, is more, it's got that academic undertone, like it's probably surrounding something to do with academics on a college campus, that kind of thing. But dark academia, I would say, has a sort of eerie, disturbing, maybe a bit more like darker kind of element to it, whereas I think Light Academia just doesn't have that side. So it's still academic, but it's maybe a little bit more fun, lighthearted, a bit more easygoing, a bit more wholesome vibes, you know? And I feel like, obviously, if you've read Emily Wilde, that's exactly what that was. And I've been on the hunt to find maybe a similar series, something similar to that realm. And I found it. And it's called The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. I literally have the summary up here just because I need to tell you the stats. Because this book, I need to tell you the stats. So, The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love by India Holton. This came out 2024. I think the second book's already out, came out in 2025. And there is a third one coming. So, I believe it's a trilogy. But what this book appears to be is like two rival ornithologists, which, if you don't know, are scientists that study birds. And they are kind of like in competition to find this particular species of bird. If they give me the actual name of it. Oh yes, the rare death whistler bird is what they're trying to do. But yeah, that's what the whole adventure is. They describe it as a historical fantasy rom-com, which I don't know, if that doesn't scream Light Academia, I don't know what does. But yeah, it seems very similar to Emily Wilde. We've got like two rival academics. They go on this insane adventure. The main character doesn't realize what they're getting themselves into, and it just sort of like spirals into something else. I think what this series is doing, each book covers like two academics, and I'm assuming like they're gonna fall in love or whatever, but it's in the same world. So yeah, if you're interested in that, I would definitely recommend. I'm gonna try and give it a go. I'm not really a romance person, which is why I hesitate. I tend to find I just never really end up liking romance books. I've tried to read them and I never really like them, so I tend to stay away. I don't mind romance as a subplot in like fantasy books or a murder mystery book or a thriller or a sci-fi. But when it's only romance, I struggle to enjoy it. I don't know why, it's never worked out for me. But this seems different because there seems to be a larger like plot at play. And it reminds me a lot of Emily Wilde, and I really liked that. So yes. My third aesthetic for my spring TBR has got to be, and I definitely made this up, is Spring Witch. I know you're probably like, what the hell is Spring Witch? Look, I just wanted to pick like a witchy magical book with like wholesome vibes, and I just made it Spring Witch. That's what I'm calling it. That's what it is. If you don't think that's a real aesthetic, that is your problem. I'm kidding, it's fine. I literally just made it up, so it's fine. But the reason I made this up is because I did have a particular book in mind. The book that I've chosen for this aesthetic is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. What is it with these long titles? Jesus. No, but I remember seeing this book, or hearing about this book actually, like a really long time ago. And I was like, oh, I really want to read that. And then I forgot about it. So these books, honestly, to me are like books I've always wanted to read, or like genres I've wanted to get into, but I kind of forget about them. And that's why it's really good to sometimes sit down and have a little TBR time. I think that's why it's good to always sit down and write a list of TBR. Even if you're not reading a lot of books in general, I think sometimes sitting down and being like, oh, I remember reading that book and I wanted to read more of those kinds of books. It's kind of helpful. I just went so off track. So this book is about an orphan witch who has grown up hiding her powers because it's not acceptable, obviously. So she's concealing her powers, trying not to be discovered. And she kind of goes on this adventure where she appears to go to a house to try and learn how to control her powers. That's what I've heard about this book. It's meant to be a little bit more wholesome, like found family. Yeah, a little bit magical, obviously, but not like dark and eerie and creepy and like secretly a murder happens and things like that. But yeah, just a little fun, lighthearted witchy book, you know? I think everyone needs a good witchy book. So did I make up this aesthetic? Maybe. Right, we are up to the fourth aesthetic, which may be a little rogue, a little random, but it's Strawberry Girl. Now, you're probably thinking, Strawberry Girl was a makeup trend. Like, it still is, I would say, pretty, like, people know what I mean by Strawberry Girl. But as a makeup look, it was sort of like this fresh face, like flushed, faux freckles. like kind of a take on clean girl aesthetic, I would say. But I thought it'd be fun to kind of take it as inspo for a book aesthetic. So this is just how I'm defining Strawberry Girl. The lighting is probably changing a lot. I'm very sorry about it, but it's fine. Got sidetracked. To me, Strawberry Girl aesthetic is sort of like just like this fun, fresh, lighthearted energy. To me, it reminds me of like going on picnics and like enjoying the outdoors and enjoying the warmth and the sunlight, eating fresh fruit, and like just that feeling of like enjoying the warmer weather, and just feeling good in yourself. So the book that I had to pick, I feel like this definitely for me feels like a romance pick because of just the energy. And as someone who doesn't read romance, I feel like it's strange for picking these two books, but well, this book and the previous one, but I feel like these aesthetics match most perfectly with these romance books, and they feel interesting to me. They sound interesting and intriguing, so that's why I'm going with it. And for this aesthetic, again, I have to get it up on my phone because I feel like, again, with these long titles, sorry, I just keep going on. So the book that I picked was The Strawberry Patch Pancake House. This is a book in like a huge series where it's like small town romances, and each book follows, I think, a couple in this small town. So in this particular book, we've got our main guy who is like a single dad. He's moved into this town and he opens up this pancake restaurant, and I believe his love interest is his like nanny, or like is going to help him take care of his child while he runs the restaurant, I believe. So yeah, that's the premise. I mean, the title itself pretty much sums it up. It's called Strawberry Pancake House. Strawberry Patch Pancake House. If that doesn't scream Strawberry Girl aesthetic, I don't know what does. But yeah, it seems to be sort of like this small town romance. Like, I haven't really read a lot of small town romance, have I? I'm trying to think. I don't think so. Maybe I read like that one Colleen Hoover book, but I don't know if that's considered small town romance. No, I don't think so, but this would be my first one. This particular book is the 4th book in the Dream Harbour series. But yeah, I thought this would be the perfect match to a Strawberry Girl aesthetic. Honestly, what drew me in is the cover of these books. Like, the cover of these books are so beautiful. I think honestly they remind me of those like really famous TikTok coloring books, and I wouldn't be surprised if they are like made into coloring books. That's not why I picked it. I didn't pick it because of the cover. I just picked it because of the title. Sorry, that sounds so stupid, but yeah, I just thought it gave like fun, lighthearted. He works at a pancake restaurant. How much more Strawberry Girl could it get, you know? So yeah, this is also me stepping out my comfort zone because, as I said, I don't really read romance, but I'm intrigued. We are up to the very final aesthetic. I hope the lighting has not changed too much. The clouds literally were blowing over and covered the whole sun, and now they're kind of going away, and now the sunlight's coming in. So I apologize if the sunlight is crazy. But for the very last spring aesthetic, I was racking my brains and I came up with something in the depths that maybe you haven't heard in a little while, and that's ballet core. If you don't know, ballet core, I would say, was like kind of a makeup trend, more like a fashion trend, and I feel like ballet core kind of was inspiring a lot of like shoes that were kind of being designed to look like ballet flats. But taking this as a book aesthetic, I would say it's pretty simple and straightforward. I'm literally looking for any books that have ballerinas, anything about a ballet dancer, anything about the art and the intensity of being a professional ballerina. Because I do think ballet is just, it screams spring, and it screams, I mean, it is like any season, but I think ballet, the aesthetics of it to me seems so spring coded. And for this, I had to pick They Are Going to Love You by Meg Harry. And this book, from what I read, is basically following a dancer, Carlisle, who is trying to become a professional ballerina, and it's set in New York City. So yeah, I was like, this is perfect. It's going to be so ballet coded because it's literally about a ballerina. It's set in New York, which I feel like is quintessential when it comes to any dancer trying to make it. yeah, I thought it was perfect to match to this ballet core aesthetic. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me pick all these books for these random but very spring coated aesthetics. I had a lot of fun. Let me know if you agree with my picks. Let me know if you have other picks that you would think match these aesthetics better. Leave them in the comments, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!